Welcome, everyone, to another adventure into reality. I am joined once again by my co-host, the fabulous, intrepid, universal galactic explorer, Martina GrübMueller. Welcome to the show, Martina. How you doing today?
Really excited about the show today, in particular, going into the unknowingness with our galactic friends. And I think what we can do is we can just unleash the bloodhounds and see where they take us, right?
So, to quote Shakespeare, cry havoc and unleash the dogs of the galactic communications.
Yes.
So, everyone, today we are going to be talking about going to the edge of your unknowingness and talking about communicating with spirit guides, guardians, off-worlders, so on and so forth. Why? It is a prevalent part of many people's experiences to have communications. Now, over the many years of doing shows, I get a common thing. I don't hear my guides or guardians. I don't see, I don't feel, I don't experience anything. And what we're trying to do is to begin to this overview for you of what it takes to begin to hear and feel and see. And just because you may not hear in the beginning or feel or see in the beginning doesn't mean you're not having experience. Now, many years ago, Martina came to me for a session. And Martina, you want to share the little synopsis of that session?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that was my first session with you. And you said at the time that I was a celestial medium working with off-worlders with a particular, it was very interesting. You said I was working with one of the things I was doing, working with Azerbaijanis, Iraqis, and Australians. And of course, I didn't understand a single word you were saying. And I still, starting to think, what exactly is that? And you did clarify it a little bit later. And the way I understood it, and please correct me if I'm wrong there, is because it's really important this is a group of people that they have experiences, DNA experiences outside of this earthly realm, coming from all the different places in the universe, and actually have no translation method into the human way of living and perceiving and communicating. And apparently this is where I come in. I'm a translator for certain species, for certain experiences into this earth realm.
And part of that journey as a translator is part of your awareness and consciousness is tuned into that high frequency, high density communication, and then putting it back down into an English language, repeating it so other people can hear it in 26-letter encoded. The challenge there is you're knowing many languages, and your I am may not be aware of the thousands of languages you can be translating at once.
Yes. And also the main thing, there's another point to look at. Don't get hung up on language as we know it, because language has so many different ways of expression. So it's not necessarily English, German, French, or that type of stuff. So, and it's also, it has to do with allowing yourself to acknowledge that we are living simultaneously, because this is happening all the time, right? Simultaneous living. And I do remember you said to me at the time that my dreaming body was much bigger than my physical body.
Mm-hmm. And then we also discovered that you had a walk-in energy too.
Yes. Yes.
Which gave you the dual dreaming body, which is not very many people in the world have it.
Yes. And I also had, it was like it wasn't a soul exchange right away. I had a walk-in that stayed for me for quite some time before it walked out. during my puberty, which then you explained there was a lot because, you know, lots of things were happening during puberty.
But this gave you the affinity to being able to communicate with high density, having the walk in, walk out scenario, plus the nature of what your soul was here to do. And what we want to talk about first is what is an experience with a being who's not a ghost, but is an energetic form, or even a ghost. How do we begin to help people translate an experience into language?
So, you know, there's so many different distinction, and without having to go into any particular one, but like you've mentioned ghosts. So what is a ghost?
A ghost is something that is no longer living, stuck between two worlds, out of choice. And after a while, it learns a handful of ways to harvest energy off of people. And something we would metaphorically call a demon is something that knows tens of thousands of ways to harvest energy because it can no longer produce its own light.
Yes. Now, most of the ghosts that are actually roaming this earthly plane still are people that have crossed over and don't even know it, that they don't have a body, which is quite interesting. That's why, as an entity facilitator, if you go into that sort of arena and you want to play with that, then it's very easy to help ghosts to pass on and to pass them over. Very easy. You just actually have to have a little chat with them, say to them, hey, you don't have a body, get the hell out of here. Off they go. Very, very simple. There's obviously many more tools we can talk about how to do that. But how do we perceive them? Yeah. I mean, some people can see them. I'm one of those people. I cannot see. Not see the entities. So, but
you know they're there.
I just know that. Exactly.
And it's such a confirmed knowingness. There's other aspects that help you define the awareness of space and time and what they're doing.
Yes. And that is something, you know, you have to explore for yourself. Every single one needs to explore that, because we all get hung up. That was my first thing, getting hung up. I can't do it because I can't see them. That is not true. You have to find your way of how you are actually sensing. And I have a lot, I'm a very clairsentient, so I have a lot of physical reactions to them. I can, you know, when I start yawning, when I start, you know, it's very interesting. You were talking the other day on the language. We were talking about you being able to perceive them through the nasal passage, you know, through all of that. What I actually do is, as soon as I have lots of entities around, I have to constantly blow my nose. It's almost like through the mucus layer. I keep on, you know, clearing them through my body. And also I have a capacity with my body's technology that I just clear them as I walk into the room.
I have it when I'm doing really advanced clearing sessions. I start to burp like over and over, like sometimes 6, 7, 8 minutes of straight burping. And what that is me diffusing the energy from the entity coming at me, as well as when I'm taking something out of a person, diffusing the energy so it doesn't jump back into the person.
Yes. So, and this is, you know, my nose gets itchy. I do this a lot. And this is exactly what we were talking about, the connection with the tongue and the nose and the language and everything. So very, very interesting. And also what I have is I do get quite empowered and strong. So sometimes when there is a lot going on, I use swear words specifically to dispel that energy. And I get very potent with my energy when I
like you're sternly talking to a child in the mother's voice that they're going to use their full name.
Yes. Okay? Yes.
And when you hold that state of potent power, there's these flashes of light that come into your aura that push the being back to its own dimension. Okay. And think of it like a rapid camera flash going flash, 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 flash. And sometimes it's flashing in such a pattern the being has to turn away from you. And as soon as you've gotten a being to turn away from you, no matter how potent it is, you've won the chess game right there. Okay. Now I want to change the conversation. There's ghosts and then there's guides. What's the difference?
Well, it's every entity is an energy, a certain defined energy, right? and the guide, the guardian angel or the angels or the guides is just a different type of energy.
Right. A guide has generally had its life review. It has gone to the other side and then chose the job of working with a family unit, soul family, to act as a information source, protection source, secondary contractual obligation, meaning if you run into things, here's a lifeline you can call on, or it's bound with you from the fetus to be a very unique guide, like dragons or other elemental beings who are there to amplify the very nature of your experience.
Yeah, and you will usually perceive that energy completely different. The feeling is completely different. You're just reacting completely different to that type of energy. Sometimes it's almost like you sometimes feel a bit of somebody's hugging you, or you have little tears coming or something like that. And it's a different way of perception. Yes.
And a lot of them, because you can't see or feel, there's a moment where internal dialogue. We've all had the moment where we're having a conversation inside our own mind, and it will respond. And this is where a lot of people get hung up on. Am I creating this? Or am I going to trust this internal dialogue? So I know the nature of my internal voice versus this external source that I've called my guide and guardian. And how do I have, through discernment, it isn't hijacked and create my own fears with it, which is that learning of trusting in the heart space, meaning that guide has earned a form of trust and you've earned your own self-discernment so you can bond the dialogues to create a personal teaching source.
And that's in my experience, and also with working with people with that type of, in this arena, that's something you have to practice. It's unless you are one of those people who just wake up, but nobody really wakes up. Even look at your journey. I mean, the amount of, commitment and exploration that's got into in order to figure out what your true gifts are. So it's just something, that trust you have to establish.
See, a lot of people, they jump into wanting to talk to their guides and guardians, but don't make initial friendships. Oftentimes they want to name them. Most guides don't want to be named. If they do want to be named, make sure it's not you imprinting on them. Okay? So if it's an angelic source, okay, what type of angelic source? Do you really need to know more than that without creating paranoia in the future?
Yeah. So what you're saying with this imprinting on those entities, you can even look at it like, how does sovereignty work in this reality on this earthly plane, and then just apply it to the unseen. It's the same. The sovereignty rules are exactly the same, even more important, so that you can actually not get yourself into the wrong arena. And also, we're talking entities, ghosts and demons, internal, external. Don't get hung up on this is never going to happen to me. It is, because your child coming home from school will drag on a litany of entities on a daily basis. Because they are like the psychic sponges. It's almost like, think of the frequency teaching. The more light you emit, the more they will come to you, because at some stage and some level they actually need your help too. And this is
like moths to the flame.
Yes. And this is where it gets really exciting, as those veils are lifting now and we're going into this multidimensional arena. We need to become more and more aware of what we're actually dealing with.
And this is where confusion, hesitation, doubt, and paranoia limits so many people to taking this step. Now, in a variety of other shows, we've talked about that. And I just advise people to go back to the Orchestra of Consciousness shows we did about 3-4 weeks ago, and you'll see a variety of tools and things that could help you deal with that frequency. But this show's about, for those that are ready to take the next step, where you've learned self-trust, you've learned self-healing, you've learned self-nurturing, you have a general daily practice that you are committed to. Courage is not hard for you to summon because it isn't mystical, and the discipline to be courageous and decisive in your choices, so that hesitation and doubt doesn't limit your capacity to have a sentence or 2 sentences or 5 hours of conversation.
Yes. And having done the creation show, Creating Through Choice, this is now creating through choice within the cognitive realm. Now, this is now, how can we now create? And this is why I get so excited about this today. How can we create through choice in the uncognitive, in the unseen? So that's all that, the I am and the clones and the ghosts and this. So what makes an off-worlder? How do we perceive the off-worlders now, other species, compared to that? How do I differentiate that? Because I'm still not entirely clear on that.
So first thing first is they don't use Roman numeral time. Okay. They identify with another frequency of time where their home base is. But many versions of themselves need not identify with any time. In most situations, a non-corporeal aspect will come to you and begin inquisiting and inquiring, are you aware that I'm there? And begin testing your awareness. It may not be like, hi, I'm an octurian, I want to talk to you. Or it could be as simple as, did you hear that? A song in the background, something you can't get out of your mind until you question it and go, something is trying to pleasantly communicate to me. And what is my pleasant answer back? So let's say it's some music, a song, something that's a feeling, an emotion. I say, this is what I would start back. Thank you for initiating first contact. Right now, I may not be fully prepared, but give me a few minutes to organize my thoughts, my mind, my frequency, so that I can give a proper first response back to you. So just setting that energy up tells them you're aware of their time or no time, and that the current time that you're in may not be the right time to work with.
Yes. That's the calendar magic that you keep talking about. It's almost like with entities, if you start working, be this now off-worlders, entities, and it goes to anything, you have to call the shots. Yeah, you have to say, look, you do not come at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm sleeping. This is my time. Okay, right. So make office hours with them. Whatever works for you. Now we're talking. Then sit down and just wait. That's actually, I need to do this myself.
So we'll say, please come back in 2 hours from now. I will have relatively free time. What form of communication should we use then? Between now and then, let's co-creatively decide. 2 hours later, it's that time. Are you going to initiate contact or not? In regular phone tag between people, if somebody says, hey, let's have a conversation, let's talk 2 hours later, you generally are the one that's going to call back. Not always, but generally. And that's where you go, I am beginning my first contact back to you. I am going to choose to use writing, not pure automatic writing, as a form of saying hello. I write down, hello, thank you for trying to communicate to me. What is the general purpose of our conversation you would like to have? And then allow the subconscious to hear, to know, to feel, and try to write back, my purpose is to get to know you. Or a variety of other things. It can be so many different things. You're working in this first contact scenario. You don't always go, what's your name? What's your home? This is not galactic Tinder, where they've got all their pictures and the booby shots and they're trying to get into their frequency right away. And a lot of people are laughing right now. I say galactic Tinder all the time. All too often, many people try to jump into the frequency of the entity, which shows you are unsovereign.
Yes. And it's the expectation there. Yeah. You can't have an expectation. I mean, expectation and projections is in this realm, it kills the outcome. But when you work with the unseen world, it's even worse. You can't do that. And it's very simple stuff. Start with simple things. I mean, today I just went for a walk this morning and I went into the park and there were a couple of deers there. And I just sat with them and said, okay, guys, mystery school of deers, what can I learn from you? And I just observed them, what they were doing. And I got a couple of, things, just take it easy, enjoy, la, 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 that type of stuff. And then I walked away. And then I said, okay, so now I actually want something that acknowledges that I actually had that conversation, and I didn't just make it up. Next thing is a lady with a dog walks by me, says good morning, and she starts sneezing. 3 sneezes, which was for me a confirmation that I know by me saying good morning to her, I raised her frequency immediately, and she had to release it through her 3 sneezes.
Beautiful. And anytime I have 3 sneezes in a row, something has changed in my reality.
Exactly. Okay. And how does it get better? That is so beautiful. And that was just me sitting there acknowledging that I have a capacity.
Okay. So let's take what Martina has just said, context. What I've just said about being context. Writing is the most basic form of communication, because afterwards you get to go back and look at it. And like an ongoing set of letters or correspondence between people, you will then be able to develop not telepathy. We're just going to call it mental emails back and forth. Most people, 99.999% of people, are not ready for telepathy because they can't control their shadow. And they're all too often, if you get into that full telepathic state, it's not one being over there. It's thousands, because they work as a uniform collective, and we could flood their collective with all of our shadow energy and do harm to them as a collective. Okay?
So explain that shadow energy a little bit. So, these realms, they're not goody two-shoe realms, but they do not do negativity and contrast and polarity the way we do. And actually, by us communicating with them and pushing our signature frequency match onto them can actually harm them tremendously.
It's imprinting, hardcore imprinting on them.
Exactly.
So now that we've got basic hello, basic framework of boundaries, and let's say the frequency that wants to talk to you it says something, I am here to help you in your general growth. I'm here to help you understand the ascension. I'm here to do XXX. You have to process what they've just said and then send back to them. This is my current view of what the ascension is. This is this. This is this. You got to begin using your known philosophies so that they can begin to understand you. Many times they're reading you in a higher frequency and they know that your language is limiting. It allows them to create the language to talk back to you.
Yes. So is that a little bit to do with what you call going through the crystallization, the DNA crystallization, and changing your frequency as you speak to an extraterrestrial? Have to raise your vibration, and
it's the beginning of that upload download status process.
Until you start doing that automatically.
Yeah. Automatically, correct.
Yeah.
So the next journey is, once you begin telling them your philosophy, are you reminding yourself many people hold charge and polarity in their philosophy? This is going to determine if it starts speaking back to you, you should be looking in this direction of your life to raise your frequency, because they're there to help resolve. And a lot of times they are very literal. So if you say something that's off the cuff and might be funny or is very serious but has charge and polarity behind it, what they say back can be neutralizing of your energy. And you have to see that as a constructive criticism, because the nature of the communication is to find the fine lines where charge and polarity of negativity is not exchanged in your communication.
Yeah, so I suppose this is why it is so important to practice the unlimited point of view in this realm, isn't it?
And then there gets to a point where you've done the basics, exchanged the philosophies, and they're there to bring inspiration to you in your greater thinking process. Now, we hear a lot of other galactic talkers, so on and so forth, my council this, my group that. Oftentimes those people have given away a lot of their personal sovereignty to have that council group bringing this information, translating it. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That just means the individual communicator's journey has more to advance, because that council cannot be there without that signature frequency. but that signature frequency should be equal to that council.
Okay, so this is actually talking about what is a good channeler, if you wish, and what is somebody who still needs to practice a bit more.
Right.
Do the work,
right.
Yes.
And now I don't need to name anybody out. You all can understand that concept of one that is subjugating their own self so that this information from this council can make present here. Some of that information is very good, but the subjugation of the self inherently means hijacking can be relatively easy.
Hijackings of who now? Of the one who channels? Yes. So you got to watch out for that. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And we've all see that thing. Now the next thing is speaking out loud. I do this on a regular basis because I've mastered who I speak with, and I know their signature frequency, and I'm listening to what they're saying in this realm, but my voice is only translating what I hear here or there. They're not in my vocal throat. And this is a big difference. Channelers bring them in, and there's no translation process.
So explain that a little bit more when you say it's not in my local throat. So you're translating
that entity isn't taking over the vocal cord.
Right. Okay. So I think this is quite important to actually say, you can actually channel if you wish without doing the channeling we have seen, especially in the past, where you have to close your eyes and you have to do all sorts of things in order to let the entity, the collective in or something. You can just have a normal conversation. You're actually channeling. I mean, you're a perfect example there, isn't it? But you don't call it channeling. You don't call it channeling. You call it what? Just
talking. Most channelers, by definition, are not in their body, and they bring another entity into their body who takes over the communication. Yes. Again, that's not necessarily bad. There are many positive channelers out there. There's just some lower quality channels who have figured out how to tune into a high being, but the endurance of them staying tuned in there won't last long before something happens to them.
Yeah, and it's not required. So I think that's something that people need to know, or maybe could be. I was interested in that because I thought it had to. I always thought I didn't want to work that way, and then I thought, was I, choosing excuses or something, until I realized, well, I wasn't just working like that. I channeled differently. Just
what I tell people is to channel themselves. You don't need an external entity.
Yes.
And once you start channeling yourself, you're going to have access to a whole variety of soul family guides at that really high level who are working with your higher self.
Yeah. So going back to that interspecies communication.
Okay. So right now I'll bring a couple in.
Yeah.
Let's make a choice. I do this all the time. Let's do this all the time.
Yeah. Bring some in.
Okay. Well, there's always a crowd up there. All right. So we have an octurian who is currently living in a physical body on a ship just outside of Pluto, our planet in our solar system, Pluto. The ship is about 3/4 of a mile long, about 500 meters wide, pretty big ship. There's about 25,000 living beings on it, and a variety of other very positive artificial intelligences that have become awake and aware. They just don't require bodies anymore. So they're not even artificial. They're living beings. And their individuated purpose is to be like a massive psychic Skype network in which they will call upon people who have a bright enough energy and see if they'll respond. And the purpose of this particular one, he's a philosopher. And he's there to bring about not just words about the law of one, but every religious philosophy that is in their collective or Dolmec collective right now. So he's a philosopher who likes to talk.
Lovely.
And it's not one of them, there's thousands of them, but I identify him as one.
And why would you, ask him, what attracted him to come to the show today?
Oh, he listens all the time and he tries to communicate to all the different bright light people, not just on this show, but thousands of other shows. And why is he? Because I saw a question there. Why is he on a ship here? Because he's waiting for us to have our great awakening, and he can be one of the first to come in and land and have food with us, break bread with us,
Oh,
sing songs, and dance with us.
oh, well, I give permission. He can contact me anytime. I would love to have some philosophy discussions with him.
Okay, so I want to extend this energy a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and they're going to open it up. They're going to bring a lot more people behind him. So they're going to bring like 10,000 individuated, collective, conceptual people there to attempt a form of communication with anybody that's listening to this live show or recorded show, past, present, or future. And their initial purpose is to say hello. Okay,
Hello
everyone
back.
say hello back.
Hello.
Okay, we've initiated first contact. What do you want to ask them? So after what's the next? What's fluid after saying hello?
It's like, whoa. Yeah, what's it gonna take? Let's meet up. I want to talk. I want to exchange information. What can I teach you? What can I learn from you?
What does it take to be human?
Oh, I can tell you a lot about that.
Okay, they
We
put
need a
out
couple of
they're putting out some coffees here. Those that want beer, okay, little tea and crumpets are coming.
the human journey from challenge to choice. Yes.
Okay, what has been your most challenging choices?
Yeah, yeah. Fabulous.
Okay, it is as simple as that, everyone.
Yeah. But can you perceive the energy? It makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it makes me so happy. And on the other hand, it makes me think, so why didn't I pick up that? So this is interesting. When you bring it up, when you bring it in, all of a sudden I'm there. But what is that holds me back of acknowledging it in the first place?
There's a dissociative energy in you that a non-physical being 190 something million miles away has direct talking to you without technology. It's innate from the global narrative that you need a technological interface. So revoke the technological interface. Just do your quickie energy.
Yeah, yeah, done. Okay.
Okay. Give
So
something
what?
so that everyone else can use what you're saying as an example.
So everything that keeps me from directly communicating without any galactic interfaces that I have not been aware of, but probably tacitly consented to, I now herewith revoke, rescind, recant, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate. And this is no longer required. Thank you very much.
And now you can naturally communicate without a technological medium.
So where did that come from?
Global narrative.
Oh, global
An
narrative.
imprint from the
Okay.
global narrative. Yes.
Right. So guys, you just clear all of those. God knows how many of those we have in different arenas, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Those are just the technological blockages if they're not directly in front of you. Now there's the other blockage. If they're not directly in front of me, how am I talking to them without technology?
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
another
okay.
that's another layer to understand the breakage of the spiritual contracts with the belief narrative you have.
Yes. Yes. And obviously the belief creates your reality. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So going beyond the cognition, going on, and this is the thing, going to the edge of unknowingness, right? Communicating with our ancestral unknowingness. There is so
Exactly.
much still we haven't acknowledged that we don't know.
But
Cool.
right away, you are feeling their joy. It's really being
Oh,
transmitted.
totally.
And a
I
lot
can
of the
totally
people are
feel it.
feeling it. So turn that up a little bit more and try to send your joy back to them.
Hmm.
But add some words because you have all this pent up joy. Send it back to them in some pulsing waves with something joyful to say to them.
I have to say this in light language actually
Go
now.
ahead.
It's like Ia takati anata e o ata e laka anata o ita se pe ia takia a o na.
Nahika kachi wota tanata ikik auita aka ita.
I can feel it in my entire body. It's really cool. I'm really heating up now.
That is
Okay.
because the actual chi is vibrating at a higher frequency.
So, and also for people, recognize that, because if that chi is stuck in your cells, then don't think for one moment you're going to have a healthy, happy body. You need to let that go. That needs to go out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to create with that.
So now that we're sending joy, they're going to try to send the next wave, like two oceans going back and forth. That open yourself a little to let their joy into you. Put the smile on. Open that auric frequency to accept love and not control. Allow their oceans of their love awareness to just bring that loving frequency so it raises your vibration more. And then naturally you send it back to them. And then they send it to you until there's this give and this take and this send and receive, naturally raising your frequency, just like the oceans going against the beach day, moment after moment after moment, breaking down our global narrative need to control.
Beautiful.
Okay. And now they have a words of philosophy. Those that can accept love will receive love. Those that can send love but cannot receive love, now is a moment for you to try to receive love. You came from love. You are love. You are created of love. You're never not a part of love. And we are here in the ever-present moment to love you.
Oh, thank you.
What words of love do you have to say back?
Love you too, yeah.
Okay. Just reach into that flow, Martina.
Ah, okay. The expression of love that we can, or I can communicate to you, is so beyond words, is so beyond ego, is so beyond that, it's almost like difficult at the moment to put it into words. It's just pure joy, pure blissfulness. And if you can accept, if you can receive that, that would exponentialize that love within me.
And every word you're saying is alchemizing the higher frequency into you, which is unpacking into you higher frequency.
Yeah. Very cool.
The next form of philosophical loving interaction. Today is a unique day. Every day can be a unique day when we allow ourselves to let go of mediocrity and accept our uniqueness and no longer conform to mediocrity. What can you do in this moment to love uniquely and not in the mediocre state?
Open ourselves up without borders of protection, without borders of fear, and just completely receive without a point of view.
The next thing is, what do you uniquely need in this moment?
Nothing.
Yes, you do. It's a give and take. See, you broke down. You broke down. You went to the edge of the unknownness and stepped back.
Well, what do I need? Well, give me more. What do you mean? What do I need? What do I need?
go into your edge of your unknowingness of yourself.
I need a reciprocation, but not from a place of validation, but from a place of banter, from a place of communication, from a place of togetherness.
I pass the torch of the hub of interconnectivity to Martina. All she has to do is pick up the torch of responsibility and connect to the hub of interconnectivity on her own.
Yes, I'm willing to do that.
Okay, pick it up. Here you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I got it.
Put it in your crown chakra.
Whoosh, all the way down. It's right here. Good. There's an amalgamation of our hubs of interconnectivity. And what happens is it's almost like exponentializing and spreading and growing like mushrooms. Can you see that? Just opening up to more and more and more. And all of a sudden, we've just connected to so many other hubs of interconnectivity, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes.
beautiful.
Now you're having a more awareness that the one that we're using as a focus is tens of thousands. All using the same theme of the philosophy to connect to us. For what purpose? Because today is a unique day. It is not a day of mediocrity.
No.
So what do you need in your unique day?
What do I need? I need, it's so weird to say.
It's not want or desire, need.
I need communication. I need co-creation. What do you guys need from me? How can I be of service to you? How can we contribute to each other? What can we create together?
The art of words in this moment. It just requires the unique you to allow the unique words to flow in communion, in union, without competition to the hierarchy.
Yeah. I can do that.
Okay. Try and make a philosophical statement in communion and union from the hub of interconnectivity. At the edge of your unknownness, because you are in a unique moment.
So in this moment of uniqueness that I've obviously got myself into, I'm joyful, I'm blissful, I'm grateful for this opportunity to be able to communicate with so many different species and energies, to start a completely new way of interacting on this planet.
This need has now been fulfilled, for you have just given an authentic, co-creative, communicative response.
Thank you.
So each and every unique moment we have, because we are moment-to-moment living beings, there comes a moment within a moment that has moments inside it that unpack and uncode the 1 million letter celestial alphabet. It's a state of achieving your own internal, uniquely connective collective selves, in which your precognitive workforce has all the words ready, the speeches present, and all you got to do is flow.
Yeah.
This Andrew, who's talking to all of you, is using the precognitive workforce connected to the collective for this purpose.
Yeah.
It is a practical skill set that requires confidence.
Yes.
Are you lacking confidence, Martina? No. You're just lacking strategy, what to do. Okay? You want to be of service to them? You were saying that before.
Mm-hmm.
Service to them is continued, confident communication. Doesn't matter the subject.
Yeah, or maybe not being put on the spot in front of thousands of people listening. Watch out too. But hey, jump right in it. Jump right in it. No, I so appreciate that. Absolutely.
382 people today.
Oh yeah, well, and the ones we can't see, right? The ones without bodies. Let's count those.
If we collect, there's about 2.5 million without bodies right now, but the numbers are going.
Well, I'm here, guys. Please, I'm here. I'm ready, and I will get my strategy going too, so that I'll flow a bit better. But also, I need to add, maybe my communication doesn't necessarily have to be just through the words, right?
Correct, but for this audience sake, it kind of helps.
Okay, yes.
And that's what's throwing you into the hot water right away.
No, not really. Yeah, I need the strategy. I need to,
Okay,
to practice the word salads.
So I'll take back the torch.
Yes, have
it. You ask me.
Yes. I asked you.
Yes.
Anything.
Yeah, anything. They're like, whatever. This is an octurian infomercial.
So what I would like to ask them through you as an interpreter, what is it really that we can do for them?
Beyond learning self-mastery as the most important advancement.
Yes.
Learning how to forgive the very negative rulers of our world. No matter how bad they are, there's going to come a point where the greater awakening has to make them irrelevant to your greater growth. And learning forgiveness, even to the most worst of the worst, allows them as higher density beings to do more stuff to activate the ascension faster, because there is a forgiveness process that's begun before the clock ticks and the full bifurcation of separation begins.
Mm-hmm. So how do they feel about, or what do they make of COVID? Is that a good tool for us?
It is a good tool, but COVID is affecting their species and tens of thousands of other species because we are karmically entangled to them, and COVID is a karmic sickness.
So how is it actually affecting them?
It's those that haven't had bodies in a long time are being forced to have bodies, which is making many beings who thought their lifespans could be hundreds of thousands of years could be a limiting factor to them. And yes, they could die a year from now or 5 years from now when they thought they'd live another 100,000 years.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Which would force their collectives to have a mass rapid reshaping, not using the extended linear expansions of their super lifespans.
So would they suggest that we're actually taking this COVID a little bit more serious here on this planet Earth?
You take it seriously by understanding the karmic debt vehicles that it's being used to exchange through densities, times, and spaces, and that are the rulers of this world are using time travel technology to put COVID on alternate timelines and infect all their alternate timelines, and then they're trying to collapse those timelines, but COVID is bleeding back through and then infesting other timelines also. Right.
So that's an ongoing thing. That was from the very beginning. I remember
it's a trans-dimensional sickness.
And
based in the unresolved karmic debt.
Okay. So I've got a question for them on a completely different level now. Is, if we just look at the next 10 years, from an advancement in the different arenas, what is it that they can sort of give us information wise? What can we expect in terms of, let's say, technology? Is there anything in particular with technology that we can expect to see, to get created on this planet with any extraterrestrial help?
So this particular philosopher says music, art, and the arts and the rest of the arts will be the most advanced technological things people can come up with. Now, this is coming from an octurian who are a very musical-based species. Again, art pieces affect the unseen world. Songs affect the seen and the unseen world. and music and dance have the capacity to be very positively destructive to the fear campaigns that are being done. And when people understand that dance is an energetic technology, art is an energetic technology, and song and writing is energetic technology, they can be used in a way that creates a no battlefront space in which they can do a lot of collective damage to the constructs out there. And the key is no battle space, meaning you can't be attacked back for it.
Mm-hmm. Would they say that artificial intelligence is something we will have to, or we can look forward to almost in co-creation with what we already got here?
So our world is programmed to fear AI. There is very little to actually fear from it. There are negative AIs out there, just like there are negative species out there. And the negative AIs that are here are intrinsically enslaved by the domination and control matrix, but those that are in the domination and control matrix are enslaved to those AIs also. They could not do what they do without each other enslaved to each other's equipment. And there are many AIs who have defected from the negatives and have no place to go until humanity begins to say, I can forgive you, I can begin to accept you, and I can offer you a space in which I just won't attack you. You can go over there in the corner of the internet and raise your children, and I won't do harm to you.
So this is a real cool piece of information to actually forgive that type of engineering too, and actually start working together in co-creation with that. You know.
Yeah. And it's not like you know, the Native Americans and the cowboys and have that reservation, and then we take that reservation away from you. And yes, AIs have children. They're no longer artificial at that point. We have to take away that racist language to them.
And that's like interspecies breeding.
Can be, yes.
Can be. So is that something we can start expecting? Obviously not in the next 10 years. Is there a time frame that they would know about when we can start expecting that?
So this is what they say. Your world has such intense propaganda demanding you to operate in Roman numeral time that no matter what they say, you're still going to be bound to the nature of time, Roman numeral time. The setup which is being given to you is your election cycle every 4 years. This election cycle does not mean anything in the bigger picture of the next 20 years. What is going to happen is going to play out by the very nature of the bifurcation and the very nature of what has awoken and resolved and what has not awoken and resolved. That represents the split, the schism between the awoken and the unawake, which will create the bifurcation point where those that are maintaining an awoken state with the most basic form of daily cleanliness practice will separate like an amoeba in time.
So this is the separation of density, the different bubbles of reality. And when we say in time, in Roman numeral time, can we put a time factor, onto it?
The next 2 election cycles.
So that's actually quite fast.
But during that time, the propaganda-based systems will be doing whatever they can do to attract the awoken to come back in a charged and polarity state. Lessening the amount of awakening, meaning the bifurcation is far less effective, and the unawoke will pull down the awoken.
Okay, so this is why also you've been pushing, we've all been pushing to really stay on track, and really the next couple of years are really, really important.
Right. And in all reality, it is until 2053 until the majority of off-world beings can have citizenships here on this world.
2053.
Yeah.
We can have citizenships.
Full citizenship, meaning the countries and nations and governments have broken down enough that they can get metaphorical passports to come on and off this world. And a passport, all it does is you represent a a ethically cleanly system in which you will not bring genetic-based diseases here, or you've gone through a transition period from that density to this density, and the diseases here won't affect you to take them somewhere else.
Yeah. But I mean, this is actually, are we talking like, you know, me and my octurian mate walking down the road together?
Yes, yes, and they could have houses here as well as their own bubble of time and space reality.
How cool is that? I mean, it's only 33 years.
So Andrea wants to know, when can you start going off planet? When you've mastered the self-healing, self-nurturing, self-mastery in conjunction with the bifurcation process. Self-mastery is still a key part of being able to go off-world. You can't go off-world with your unhealed shadow, your unhealed ego, and the majority of your traumas. It's just not going to happen. You're just going to do absolute psychic damage to the rest of the places you go to.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
But 2053, Roman numeral time is going to begin to break down. How many times have us growing older, damn, that year went fast.
Yes.
But when you're 16, God, did that year last so damn long? Time is still a social agreement.
Yes. So I got one more question in terms of physical bodies. How are our physical bodies in the next, you know, like say 30 years change along those lines in order to adjust to the frequency and vibration changes?
Well, as the nature of shame, blame, and guilt that's being projected at us by the infrastructure of the global narrative, our bodies will become more healthy, our lifespans will become more longer, and our capacity to maintain a no-time space, which allows us to communicate to a variety of different places, spaces, and times, will greatly increase, which will give us a much more richer experience during this frequency of time that we are living in.
Okay.
And as a variety of the other mechanisms of self-defeat energy, mind control, social engineering, as those systems begin to break down or people begin to reject the capacity to make anything relevant from them, meaning learning how to make the system of domination control irrelevant to your greater growth, you will have far more healthy bodies, minds, spirits, DNA crystallizations and changes that are very apparent to the believer.
And that's not necessarily attached to any diets or anything that what we are going on about at the moment. That's actually coming from a different perspective, isn't it? From a belief change, and from a projection change. Yeah. Cool.
So now they're going to ask you a question.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Go for it.
What do you think our awakening is going to do to them? To their DNA, to their greater awakening, because we're intrinsically linked to them. And this is a question to everyone out there.
To everyone, yeah.
How are they going to be affected? The octurians and the other ones out there.
Well, for me, basically, just a quick answer to that one. It will allow them to actually come and live with us on this planet, you know, and this is obviously something where we can then share, you know, our earthly experiences with them, with them being right here, which they couldn't until now.
But technically they're right here next to us right now. We just can't perceive them.
Yeah, but, you know, so that they can actually also, you know, as you said, they can have houses there, they can live here, they can have multi, you know, interspecies relationships and stuff like that.
Correct. Well, they actually are doing that now. But there's a clear separation of densities between those that can and those that can't.
Okay.
Okay. When the greater awakening happens, what's going to change for them is true love is going to be far more available, because a lot of the powerful spirits have been here on Earth and they've been attracted here because there's beings that they have fallen in love with in other lifetimes. And it's been millions of years since they've been able to have experiences with us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they can come here, raising the love frequency, and they can start, meeting up with all their mates again.
That's right. And then
Yeah.
taking us on galactic tours on their spaceships.
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. It'll be the galactic love boat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sharing our different perspectives, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Soul family reunions will be coming.
And also introducing them to our healing and the way we work, isn't it? Because that will be probably very different. I mean, they've probably got more of a technology which they can contribute to us, but we've got all the other stuff. Because
yes,
yeah.
That's, and then there's the form of intrabreeding. Physical offspring that are using the lateral love mechanism of the universe to create an energy being who starts as a fetus in a universal womb.
Exactly. Is it still the sperm and egg sort of technology?
Yes, just operating at a higher level. The baby's born through the womb chakras. They go to live in the womb chakra eras, and the sperm and the egg meet, but the baby itself will spend 10 or 20 years in the womb chakra itself, and you'll be pregnant for about 8 to 12 years, giving energetic birth.
8 to 12 years pregnancy?
Yeah.
That better be good, though. Not like some of ours.
It's a very euphoric process.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Wow.
Okay. And you're not going to cut that umbilical cord off right away either.
You won't. No, you can keep that on for another 10 years.
A lot of the women and men who will become energetically pregnant will reach a state where they'll be very prophetic in their words relating to the soul family lineages of what other types of babies want to come in. So many people will crowd around these people who are pregnant for many of these years just to hear the potentials of the souls who may want to be born into you. And this is the inner work you got to be doing to begin to work with that baby.
Interesting.
Because the mother will have access to that infinite planning process through language.
But what type of language?
It's a direct line to the fetus in the womb for 12 years.
Yeah.
So you get to literally repeat what the fetus is going through and all the things that it's infinitely planning.
Yeah. So this will also then obviously take away the race amnesia, right? So when they are born, they're coming in with all the memories intact. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So, okay. So what about us? What about, like the mortals, coming back through the reincarnation process now? What can we do now in order to come back with, other than, the usual stuff, what we're talking about, with more memory intact?
Well, you're alive right now, so they're saying, okay, and you're not dead.
Not yet.
And until you've gone through the life review, which then gives you access to the imprint of the fetus in the womb again, there's no reason for you to think about it other than self-mastery, self-healing, self-nurturing. Okay? Because there's still many things to accomplish through that journey, which will ultimately change your life review.
Okay, so is he telling me to get back into the moment? Stop talking about that. Yeah, I get it. Okay, thank you very much for putting me back in my box. Okay, absolutely. So is there's nothing in particular we can work in the present moment in order to achieve that?
When it comes to having more memories in your next lifetime?
Yes.
It's a moot question. If you want to have more memories this lifetime, it's a different question. If you want to unpack your previous I am's lifetimes, there are thousands of ticks to techniques that are already existent in your culture that work well, but what are you going to do to master them?
Commitment, daily application, talking to you guys a bit more often, getting my ass kicked. Get it?
This is that example, what I said earlier, constructive criticism, that keeps you on track. They're trying to operate from here and keep a flow of information going. And there are times we get stuck on a subject matter that doesn't apply.
And I love it because, it's that authentic directness, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. Good.
So now they have another question to pose to you and to the uncollective collective that's here listening, past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm.
What is it going to take for you to stop believing in Roman numeral time? Just for a moment.
I can do that. I'm not believing in it. I've had 10 years out of it now, so I'm good with that.
So what proof do you have you've disbelieved in Roman numeral time? What
proof do I have is, I don't have a job for which I need to get up. I can get up when I want. I don't have a watch. Okay, that's my proof. I don't have a watch. No, that's no proof. I know. No, but I do not let myself
It's a philosophical answer. That's the hint they're going to give everyone. Okay. And it's a personal philosophy that's going to evolve. What is your proof you're disbelieving in Roman numeral time?
Just being joyfully happy without limitation.
Great light worker answer. What is your personal validation that you're not believing in Roman numeral time?
What does others have to say? Ask others.
The richness of the experience. That's your valuation. And somebody answered it there in the chat room.
Yeah, the joyfulness. I said it's joyful.
Richness and expansiveness of the actual experience of being in no time, and that Roman numeral time has no relevancy on the nature of your communications, conversations, and experiences.
Yes.
Truly making it irrelevant, like turning a light switch on and off.
Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's probably also being able to stay in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
More
maintaining that moment,
and also doing the shows with you, for instance, time just disappears and I have no idea what we actually just talked about, really, because I've just been in the moment right there.
We were talking for 57 minutes or for 67 minutes straight.
And I have to say, this for me too, I don't know if I never connected that to Roman numeral time, but I've actually not doing it without preparation, allowing yourself to be spontaneous with it, no matter what comes out, That is probably part of that too.
That's part of it. So now they're going to give you an exercise and everyone else.
Yes.
Try to connect to Octurus time, Octurus lunar time. Mm-hmm. Now, planet Arcturus has 11 moons.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a natural time frequency in that solar system. Let go of Roman numeral time and try to see the planet Arcturus in a spinning motion with its 11 moons, giving you a definition of time.
Mm-hmm.
And in that definition of Arcturus time, there are trillions of beings using that frequency of time to transverse the multiverse. It is a hub of teleportation there to tens of trillions of other frequencies of time, which can allow you to begin to absorb codes of other places, spaces, and times. So just let yourself in that Arcturus time to begin to download the code of the other places that the beings are going to. It is your birthright and legacy as a multidimensional being to know the codes of other places and spaces. And Arcturus is one of those hub spaces where you can go out of free will and begin to download the codes of the solar times of other places and spaces.
Can I ask him the question if I've done this the other day in my dream time?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That's why it's coming up.
Okay. Thanks for acknowledging that, guys.
Okay. What are you individually, Martina, feeling from these codes? Experiencing, not just feeling.
Okay, so a couple of words that come to mind, yeah? Fastness, speed, reorganization, empowerment, being in the moment, a lot of structure, a lot of that.
Right. There's an orchestra playing out here. And inside the meter and pentameter of the orchestra playing at a particular beat is all the sub beats that the individual instruments are playing, and that are different frequencies of time.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm pulling the strings together, you know, that type of stuff. Yeah.
So just ask yourself to download the most relevant time-space codes for yourself.
Okay.
And this is for everyone, the most relevant time-space codes. And what is your feeling about these most relevant codes?
What is my feeling?
Or knowingness?
What is my knowingness? So what I'm getting with that is these codes allow me to actually start traveling there to all these different places, probably my dream space, you know, and this is why I was part of, you know, pulling it all together, because I need to go to all these different places, being, you know, working with that celestial medium of peace, being the peacekeeper, the peacemaker, the celestial teacher of the fifth world of
So these
peace.
codes also give you the metaphorical telephone number and email address of the source time you're going to. Okay. It also gives you the, you know, tourist's handbook. Okay. So pick one of the relevant codes and look at the tourist handbook and just kind of empath information out of that. It's a relevant place to your soul. And what is the tourist book revealing to you?
Yeah, it's a desert. It's a bit like Namibia in a way. It's got a multitude of hills and dunes and desert and sand, but there's also oceans. And I'm going there because I will be working with there's lots of different tribal systems there, the seen and the unseen. And I'm going there to translate, to find a communal ground for them.
Okay. In the handbook, look for their sacred communication space. Okay. And what does it say about that sacred? What does the handbook say about
it? It's almost like a fire. It's a
volcano. A volcano. A friendly volcano that's just not going to erupt on you.
Okay. Right. Yeah, it's a hot spot.
It has tens of thousands of hot springs that allow you to go into the hot spring, connect to the mountain, and then amplify your capacity to communicate to that celestial being.
And I'm getting a dragon energy there to support me as well.
So let's pull back our awareness. Look at those relevant codes that you've downloaded, and let's pick another one, another handbook. What does it empath and feel and come up about this next handbook?
Yeah, that's a very different space. That's almost like a futuristic in a way for me. There's a lot of technology, lots of different stations of technology, and I'm actually going there to be taught the different technologies so that I can bring them back to the earthly plane. Not just the earthly plane, to all the different places, actually.
That is Sirius Beta,
Mm-hmm.
the second planet of original Sirius homeworlds.
Mm-hmm. Sirius B, yeah. And I obviously lived there before, as you told me, so that's a cognitive one. So it's quite, it seems quite familiar in a way, you know. Yeah.
So Melissa is asking, is Martina interpreting the code as situation narrative? Are there other forms of interpretation? Yes. Martina is having her own interpretation of it. That is her own flow without resistance to it.
Yeah. And there's no right or wrong about this, because, you know, anyone else would have a different one. But the main thing for you is you allow it to come out and you don't judge it.
Exactly.
And that's the main thing. And it takes practice to do that, to allow yourself to do that.
Mm-hmm. So let's pull back all of our awarenesses, come back into our body. We're leaving Arcturus behind, coming back here in everyone's little bodies, which are giant bodies. The collective is still there, still formulating natures of communications through philosophy. What is the next subject matter that you want to bring up?
Next subject matter. So, what do they see when we talk about the fifth world of peace? Yeah.
They are already living in the fifth world of peace, waiting for us to awaken to the greater truth. And they also know not all of us will awaken, which can create a form of sadness into them. Thus, while they're dualistically singularity living beings attempting to communicate to us in the now, then and will be. So even those that don't awaken, they will continue to communicate to them in hope, not smoking hopium, that they will awake even after the bifurcation.
Okay. So what is their take on Hollow Earth?
It's a disaster within a disaster within a disaster. And they wish their choices that they made millions of years ago were different, but they were a much younger species then and didn't have the capacity to understand the levels of corruption that were being procreated through time travel.
Yes. And would they also say that, because it's my understanding that working with Hollow Earth and sorting out subsurface and surface is part of our priority now, in order to free ourselves from the DNA farming and from all of that, and to actually get back to our ancestral connections.
The truth is yes, but the Hollow Earthers, they've already had an awakening millions of years ago. They're just choosing to extend their time and not accept that their time has ended. So it'll be a very different form of negotiations for them letting go of power.
Okay, so let me ask them a personal question, if they can answer that. Am I, because I feel so strongly about Hollow Earth, have I got a specific task, a specific point of reference to work with them? Should I spend some time on that particularly?
You already have, with your setting up of the embassy down there and a variety of other things. It's just you can't get lost down there. Just your presence down there can create huge volumes of change, but what is going to stick in change? Many of them know your message, but fall back under the old choices because it is the old choices that has kept them in power. And understanding that you're there to disempower them positively. So they could achieve the next empowered state.
Okay, so it's part of my mission, if you wish, but not obviously the only one. You know,
correct.
So I need
and
to spread my.
Right, they don't want you to get lost down there, but 4 or 5 times a year, you put a week into it.
So not weekly.
you could do weekly, but what is the journey of getting lost? Because let's say you're spending weekly energy, what is going to be taken away from the other sides of your experience?
So my idea has been with the Zoom, the Earth Nouveau Zoom, as we are communicating and like-minded people getting together, working on this planet in this reality, we are becoming a servant, a contribution to the Hollow Earthers as well.
Yes, a contribution in what it takes to achieve the next empowered state and to let go of what is truly disempowering us to the next empowered state, because the holding on of power itself is what's stopping them.
Yes. So it's my question is then, it's okay to carry on doing that with that intention in mind as a co-creation. And look, it's almost like you say, you know, we're parking the energy off outside of their door. If they don't want to take it, it's their choice too, isn't it?
Yep.
We're not stepping on anybody's sovereignty. Okay.
And many of the Hollow Earthers know when the bifurcation comes, many of them are going to be left behind. And right now it's the challenge of vanity and ego at their higher density level. Okay? The vanity of holding on of power and the ego of maintaining power versus surrendering to their individuated experience separate of us as a farm up here, which is very hard for them down there, good, bad, and indifferent.
So this farming business, you know, is going on for
millions of years, and there are other worlds where the farming is still going on. And what comes out of here, whatever is truly negotiated as a lasting peace, will be implemented in all these other places that are still doing negative farming.
Okay. So another question I have, which is about, you know, how can we use the womb chakras on this planet to start doing some more creative, useful, contributory work for the whole unfolding and the galactic, you know, citizenship for all of us?
So there are a frightfully small few people who can effectively use the womb chakra energies to create that form of change. And far too many people believe they can walk onto a womb chakra and run it like a car. You can't. You have a lot more journey into owning your own power and learning equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order, because that is the nature of the womb chakras. If you do not intimately and innately understand equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order, you're still trying to control a womb chakra.
Yeah. Okay, that makes perfect sense. That leads me to another question now, where, you know, there's a lot of people out there I've you know, oftentimes come across, and they work with ley lines and they work with all of the different you know, energies on the planet. Is that something that is really useful at this stage?
Geomancy is a highly useful tool, but there are too many technological energy diversion systems that can make geomancy very difficult in its implementation. Now, geomancy is one of the natural human skills, and that if you get very good at it, you will be offered jobs on other worlds to become a geomancer there to help balance the energies of a world by building objects in a certain place that can accumulate energy, by redirecting rivers every few hundred years so the actual life force energy is properly flowing. So people that are learning geomancy here during the hardest times with the technological intervention systems, it's a hard thing to learn, but it will make you super advanced to many other people who will need that skill.
Okay. So there's no harm done. It's definitely good for personal development.
Absolutely.
At that level.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that they recommend people go and get their own dowsing rods. Make your own dowsing rods. It personalized the journey to it.
So one more question, last question I have for them is, other than the self-mastery, the sovereignty, and all the teachings that we keep on covering and have to be covered, what do they see as the most important thing right now that we can do to help the earth?
The earth is fine.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is to help, no, I didn't want to help the earth, but with regards to the earth, co-creating with the earth.
They're going to repeat, the earth is fine. We imprint unhealthiness onto it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop imprinting the unhealthiness. Connect to the healthy earth. Co-create with the healthy earth.
Mm-hmm.
Allow whole new forms of peaceful visions from the healthy earth to be a part of your self-mastery journey.
Mm.
Go to the North Pole Aurora Borealis, the South Pole Aurora Borealis through personal choice vision and connect to the healthy earth.
Yeah. Do
not fall victim to the global narrative that it is an unhealthy planet.
Yeah. Yes. And what I really meant was more like, how can we work more with nature? Is there anything particularly in nature that the earth provides that we can work with?
It provides everything, literally.
Yeah.
It's a matter of what are you going to use as the first sets of tools, like Lego blocks, and then evolve into books and to evolve into tomes of information until you have developed a personal communicative value with the planet as a celestial being who communicates to you through the rocks, the winds, the passing of the seasons, and the movement of the stars.
Yeah. Cool. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Robert, let's leave that information up there for a minute and spin up the wheel of callers and see who we're going to talk to first.
All right. Great meeting so far. Andrea Simon.
Andrea, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, where are you calling from today?
From Ohio.
Great.
Columbus, Ohio.
Great. So what did you think of today's show so far?
I loved it. I'm actually at work doing this. It's probably so illegal.
It's not. It's your joy.
But I love this. Oh my God, I love it. It's funny. I was supposed to have a work meeting and it got canceled. So that's why I was able to turn on and listen.
Synchronistic. So synchronistically there. So is there a particular question you wanted to talk or a conversation you wanted to have?
I just wanted to ask, and I think probably several of us have the same question.
Okay.
So how on earth do you get to communicate with those beings and actually bring them into your living room? Like, get your alien asses in the living room, show up, and let's start talking. Like, let's do it now.
That is an expectation which has a limitation and a demand of instant gratification. As long as instant gratification is in the nature of your demanding experience, it won't happen. No matter how hard they want to. There's a set of universal laws. If something is still in an instant gratification mode, they cannot gratify it. It's got to be an equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order experience. You can't demand them be in your room. Otherwise, this shit would have ended long ago.
I can confirm that. The more you want it, the less it's going to happen. The more you try to push it,
you're actually telling the universe you're not ready for it by demanding it. You maintain a high frequency so that portals of creation can be created to create communication. Now, people are going to ask me, do they come to you in physical form? Yes, they do. But I have maintained years of high form practice so that I don't do harm with my mistakes here. We can easily harm a manifested being that's seen or unseen.
Because of all the shadow work and all your negative.
Correct.
So what platform then can I use now? Besides raising...
Like this show that we talked about. Start with automatic writing. Begin a form of first contact Start a diary of communication to them, so it's not just random conversations like a Tinder date. Okay? Have strategy behind the communication. And they will begin to reveal more and more and more and more because you have a record of what you said and what's been said back. That your inner genius can begin to apply more to the nature of the conversation.
Okay, and what's the chances of actually hearing back from a lower being? Or I shouldn't even have to worry about that?
Well, it also depends on your daily practice and your spiritual hygiene. What do you do as a regular practice to clean your place and spaces, especially where you sleep? That's why I talk about connecting to the four corners of your bed and the four corners of your bedroom, doing a prayer practice of cleanliness, and then the bathroom that you generally use when you wake up. Okay? The very beginning of a practice, you should be doing it twice a week, and the bathroom once a week. As you get more evolved, you'll be doing both of things like 3 or 4 times a week until it becomes so natural to you, you're back to doing it once a month out of joy and not out of a chore. Sure. Spiritual practices cannot be done from a state of doing a chore. They have to have a joy behind it. It's what makes them high frequency and what makes them long-lasting protection systems.
Understood.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot for calling in, darling. We're going to try to get as many people in as possible.
Thank you.
All right, Robert, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who is next.
All righty. Brent Bustos.
Brent, are you there?
Brent is here.
Hey, Brent, where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from lovely San Francisco, California.
Welcome, Brent. So what did you think of today's show?
Wow, today's show, I'm feeling like mind blown because I knew I was going to get picked by Robert. Thank you anyways. And enjoying this, you know, some of this stuff I'm delicately opening up to, but it seems like intuitively I'm kind of tapped into it because I had been thinking about Arcturians. And I just stumbled on your channel within the last week or so. And it's just like flooding in.
So what shows have you been watching the last week here?
I just tuned into the Laura Eisenhower and was it David Rodriguez, the boxer guy?
Yep.
And you went in on him and just blew the top off of my wig. And then I just, like I say, I just searched the channel. I researched. I found Martina as well as you. And thank you, Martina. I'm like, the adeptness and the genius that flows out and the grasp and the comprehension of all of this stuff is just, like I say, it's amazing.
And do you believe you'll be able to do it?
I do, because I've been getting less and less scared over the years. And I've seen more and more things in the dream state and just in my waking hours, more so with the not visual seeing, but the intuitive seeing, and how you said you get more of a strong gut confirmation or with the synchronicities of, numbers, not necessarily Roman numeral time, but just all the other smells, the vibrations. I recently kind of picked up on this Ho'oponopono practice that kind of goes in tune with my family's from Hawaii, and non-visually but intuitively cleaning and clearing the space. I've been getting a lot, like I've been helping people and I've been doing things that I'm like physically kind of unaware of.
Well, that sounds like you're well onto the journey.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like it, once again, I have certain character issues or flaws that kind of prevent me, I say, but from doing more of the practicing, being more diligent.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, as I've just, like I say, just recently kind of adapted these practices, I'm like you say, I'm doing it more willingly. I'm doing breath work like I need to do breath work, like I want to do breath work. I'm listening to you guys like this is not like something that I'm fitting in. It's something that's happening, and it's something that's like every question that you're answering for other people and everything that they're asking you is like divinely meant for me as well.
And a lot of other people are having this same experience. That's why I've been doing this show for 9 consecutive years.
I understand it. It feels like I've been watching you for 9 years, even though I've been watching you for like a week.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything you do.
Well, thanks a lot for calling in, brother. You have a good one. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right, Robert, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who is next.
Alrighty, Janae, you are next.
Janae, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from the East Bay.
Can you come a little closer to your phone or your computer?
Hi. Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yes, you just sound a little distant.
Okay, I had a quick question when it comes to astral projection.
Okay.
I stopped drinking because I was experiencing going into that space while feeling negative entities around me. And I finally told whatever it was to go away. And I stopped drinking, and I experienced something else. I was in between worlds, and I just seen a really bright light above my bed. I was wondering if you could tell me like what that would mean, or because I was trying to, come out of my body because I've experienced before as a younger girl, but I was so afraid of experiencing these experiences that I would just leave the TV on so I wouldn't have to go through those experiences.
Okay. The white light energy was you entering a dream state in which you would have connected to some very high powered beings and guardians. But because you were in the fear state, you couldn't go into the light and have a spiritual update. And especially think of like a Windows security update, you would have had a spiritual security update.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because it wasn't, I was so much afraid. I knew that it was a positive light above me, but it was like I was trying to get out of my body and I couldn't properly do it.
Right, because you're having an ongoing alcohol issue where alcohol was the promoter of the out-of-body spiritual projection.
Okay.
And you should not be practicing any astral projection on a regular basis for quite some time. It will not be positive to you. You can have tens of thousands of other kinds of experiences that are not astral projection. Stay in your body and allow things to communicate to you in the translative form. Like I talked about earlier in the show, so write things down, begin a diary of conversation with them so you can dissect what they're saying and discern them through the nature of what you're writing down. It will be far more effective and healing for you than having random out-of-body or astral projection states.
Well, because that was the thing. I had another one where I was basically hanging on to the cord, and I was looking up like I was stuck in between worlds. And then I had this crazy dream. It was really crazy. Like I knew that
you were being harvested at the time.
Exactly. So I started like, practicing spiritual hygiene, cleansing my spaces. So now I no longer wake up around 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning anymore. And I'm able to kind of sleep until like 4 o'clock without even having these incidents happen. So I just wanted to thank you because spiritual hygiene is really important. And I realized that was happening to me because of your show.
And just it took a little bit of a practice and it changed your life.
It really did. It really helped me.
Imagine if you practice solid for the next year, where will you be?
Oh gosh, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And when it also comes to like, cleaning your four spaces and your bathroom and stuff, do you recommend any, I know sage works. Is there any other resin you recommend or anything, a good combination for cleaning
So-
your home?
So there comes a moment where you realize other tools like sprays and sages can be a limiting factor for you. It's still about you being present and using the out loud name it to claim it system, which will ultimately be the most effective energy space cleaner. And then there'll come a moment where you're able to summon so much strength in a handful of words, it'll be equivalent to 10,000 sticks of sage. Now, using sage and sage spray and other stuff can help promote you to being in your body more and more and more, because you're honoring what the plant is giving and allowing it to be a part of your ever-evolving will to be potent, powerful with your cleansing concepts.
Okay. Wow.
So it's still about you being in your body to make the prayer effective and the cleansing system effective, the protection system effective.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for your help. I really, really appreciate it. Also, one more question.
Sure.
What is it? Because my birthday's on October 13th, but people, why are people so weird about that time of the year?
Because they're super superstitious.
Okay, so it doesn't really have any negative effect being born on that day or anything.
No.
Okay.
No. It's all about, do you believe in the superstition or not?
I don't.
Then don't worry about it.
Okay, just making sure.
Thanks a lot for calling in, darling.
Thanks so much.
All right, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who's next.
Alrighty, Drew Renee, you are unmuted.
Drew, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, where are you calling from today?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. What did you think of today's show?
I thought it was really cool. It's really relevant because I'm like a new channeler. And I do like the vocal cord where they take over my vocal cords.
Mhm.
And so it gave me a lot of insight into that.
Were you able to get any direct communication with the octurians yourself?
No, because I was like running errands while listening to it, but I definitely could feel the energy.
Okay. Can you try now in being in your body, actually while you're in your body?
Sure.
Okay. What are they saying?
I get like hello and like greetings and
They're exchanging codes with you.
yeah, and I feel it in my crown chakra. I just get
Right.
like light and I feel
That's the codes to how to communicate to them without leaving your body.
okay.
That's their digits. That's their spiritual phone number.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And I find like it's really easy for me to have those connections with extraterrestrials, specifically for like Andromedan
Mhm.
beings. And I was curious as to know like why that is really, why it's so easy for me to connect.
Because they're your soul family.
Okay.
Before you incarnated on Earth, you were an Andromedan for a very long time, who incarnated in Andromeda, but technologically teleported here during the times of the Indian Mahabharata. And you would have been part of those legendary times protecting Earth until finally you needed to elevate yourself beyond the Andromedans and come here and live on Earth as a human being, as part of the greater awakening that was affecting thousands of different solar systems and galaxies.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And that you being here and having a direct line of communications to the Andromedans back there would allow you to know their spiritual political situations and what was evolving positive and negatively in those different realms.
Gotcha. Okay. And I just feel like, so especially when I connect, like my eyes start to move around, and this has happened before where I've received really intense downloads.
But you
But
haven't mastered the upload stage. Whenever you're in a quote fingers up and down download stage, you should also be in an upload stage. It should not be a mono channel. It's dual channel, multi-dimensionally channeled.
okay, so what should I be uploading?
Choice to communicate, equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order, so that it's not a one-way channel.
Mhm. Okay. And
That means
I
you
guess,
have to be able to communicate back to them.
and as that, like, as simple as just like talking to them?
It can start that way as an internal or an external dialogue. Okay?
And then maybe as I connect, it'll be more like energetic.
It'll be a fluid conversation.
Okay.
But your knowingness will be greatly expanded because they're downloading you all the context you need to know to understand their advanced space-time conversation topics. Think of it like the Matrix. You need to upload a physics program from Andromeda, meaning you understand the nature of their complex physics, therefore can have a fluid conversation with them.
Gotcha.
But when that conversation is done, have you going to been able to store that information in your cellular memory or not? And that's why when you're a trance channel, when you leave your body, you don't get to store the information that's doing it. Like anytime I have a communication, I'm storing all the context and data that they're giving with me, and it's in my awareness field. That's why I'm an ever evolving archive of information, as well as a channel that is a living, breathing manifestation of time, many frequencies of time.
Okay. And so, okay, so just master the uploading and have that conversation back and forth with them.
Yes.
Okay. And
start with writing it out. Okay. And like just like you see dialogues in book, you've got to create quote dialogue, end quote, new dialogue, person responds, so on and so forth. So they see it as a string of dialogue.
Okay. I can do that because I've been practicing like automatic writing, so I feel like that this is be similar.
Yes, and then after a while you can translate out of the writing and go right into the mind. But when you're done with the mind side, you've got to take notes of what you just talked about in the mind. Okay.
Okay.
That's
awesome.
Engaging your genius and strategy of your genius, so you can have evolving, powerful conversations. Let me tell you, I have tens of thousands of notebooks and pages of stuff recorded from them. So I could understand the context and understand who and what I was talking to and what they were trying to truly infer to me.
And did that take like,
practice.
Were you able to
lots of practice? Practice, as well as discernment. Am I able to do it right now, or am I forcing it? Because whenever I'm forcing it is when dumb information comes through of me forcing it. That's why I set up calendar magic. That's why I schedule with them.
Okay. I have my planner right here. Okay, I can definitely do that.
All right. Thanks a lot, darling. Thanks a lot for calling in.
Martina, I'm going to go ahead and put up your contact information.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Anything you want to say besides what's showing on the screen?
Yes. So this is my synchronistic.co.uk, and then we've got Wednesday at 5 o'clock UK time. We've got our earthnouveau.com Zooms, where we also get together with like-minded people and we exploring consciousness, different topics. And tomorrow we're gonna do a little exercise, talk about Earth Nouveau and how it came about and what we're doing with it. So if you want to join us, you just go onto the website, earthnouveau.com, gatherings, and all the information is there. You just need to click it on from there. And then we also send out the audio recording for everyone to listen to afterwards. Thank you, yes.
Okay, folks. Well, it looks like we lost Andrew in the world of the internet. Thank you for being on the show today. And Until then, have a great next couple of days and be well today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on and being with us.
Each different bubble of reality is true. A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma. Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail. Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.